What up, everybody? I am your host, JP, and before we start this Horror Fest episode, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context, a little bit of editing issues in the booth, cut out a part in there where I basically let you guys know this new method that we're testing out in this episode. So, how we do our regular rankings, we kind of go down, talk about what we liked, we didn't like, and we kind of, at the end of it all, put it together, give you guys a number. As you can see in this episode, we rank every single category 1 through 5. You can give it a 2.5, 3.5, all that, etc. At the end of it all, it leads up to 32 points, I believe, or 32.5, somewhere around there. I'll double check that. But we do a double score just to kind of see which one is going to give us a better outcome. So with that, I just want to let you guys know that you guys will see what the scores come out to. I want to hear from you guys what you guys think, which scores helped out better. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on the other side. What up, everybody? I am your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros podcast. All right, y'all. As you guys can tell from the theme music, this is another Horror Fest installment. We're almost at the end of October. I think our final one is coming up. We're going to be having that FNAF review. Actually dropped today at the time of recording, or it's going to be dropping this week, whatever it may be. But we are excited to move on to other things. Well, actually, I'm kind of basking in the blood and the gore and all that stuff while you're over here shriveling up, shaking just a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. It's not for everybody, but I appreciate you taking this journey with me.
Yeah.
I know you've seen a lot of guts. I know you've seen a lot of blood,
dude,
a lot of cuts,
a whole lot of stuff,
a lot of snapping.
I am. Oh yeah, I am interested in watching the rest of the films from this franchise though that we're about to rank up, or not rank up, but put against each other.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you think when you get to that point. But today, for the Horror Fest conversation, we are not going to be. We are. We're not only going to rank these movies, but we're going to compare them, and we're going to go ahead and stack it up, and we're going to do a little game as well, and basically find out to see which one is the superior, regardless of what it says.
That's right.
The movies that we will be comparing today, we're going to be going back to the past at the same time to the future with this remake. Josh, let them know the two movies we're comparing.
A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, and then A Nightmare on Elm Street remake, 2010.
Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes? We got 6 more minutes to play.
The 1980s was a vibe, obviously. That's when a lot of the horror stuff was coming out.
All the horror icons.
We towards the tail end of the 80s, we were still in that horror section, but we were kind of slipping out, and then the 90s came around, and it was all bright and colorful, and it wasn't a good time for a horror fan unless you were, like, into, like, slashers and stuff, I would say.
Then Scream came out and all that.
Yeah, so, like I said, we are going to be doing a little game. I do have categories here. We're going to be ranking which one's the better Freddy. Obviously, there's 2 movies, so we got to decide which one's the better Freddy. We will be deciding as well which one was well made, right? Which movie was well made. That the characters, we're gonna be stacking them up as well. Characters, which ones added more depth to the conversation, to the story, all that stuff all together. But first, as always, we're always gonna check the Rotten Tomatoes score. I know they're unreliable, Josh. I know you hate them. I know you want to throw tomatoes at them, but
right.
We're still going to go by their metric. So the 1984 Nightmare on Elm Street got a 95% on the critic score with an 84% audience score.
What the fuck happened there?
I mean, I would say that has to be nostalgia. Rotten Tomatoes wasn't around at that time. And whoever went back to watch it, they're like, "Oh fuck yeah, this is fucking for the culture."
I remember when this came out, type shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. Actually, I think that's the highest we've seen, other than the Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
That's pretty high, man. Holy fuck! I want to see what the 2010 one is already. I don't even have notes for this. This is actually surprising.
Yeah, it's way high up there.
Yeah.
2010. I mean,
the audience score makes sense, but the critic score,
Okay.
I was expecting low.
now we're gonna move on to the 2010 one, but
Okay.
I gotta say something. I gotta preference this.
Okay.
I gotta make sure that everybody knows the time, the era that was in. It was in a time in the era where remakes were just a thing, right?
Yeah.
We had remakes and 3D. I think that was the era with remakes and 3D.
Yeah.
So we had Saw 3D, which was Saw 7, the last installment of Saw, right? We had Piranha. That wound up coming out the same year, Piranha 3D. If you guys want another whammy to go in the 2010s, The Last Airbender was also released in the same year that this movie was released.
That's a horror movie in itself.
Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 version, that one came out at a whopping 14% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics and a 43% audience score. Now, I told you I needed to preference it first, give you context, because I feel like they gave them the shit score because of the fact that, one, horror movies obviously get bad scores in itself. Second, I think this was coming out at the part where people were already getting sick of remakes. People didn't want to see that. It was in the beginning where people were actually rejecting it for a minute, and then obviously studios were like, nope, you're gonna eat this shit, and then sequels, remakes marched on. What do you think about the score? You think it's too low? You think that they're being harsh compared to the original?
Yeah, of course they're being harsh, dude. 14%, and what's the audience? 43?
Oh, 43.
Damn, dude. Yeah, fuck. That's harsh, dude. Like, I have my gripes about the movie, but even I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it a 14. That's
insane.
That's kind of
That's
like I said,
insane.
but I feel like that was in that era. I think it was the time to be like, yeah, this is horror, and it's not really making too much sense, or maybe it's too much. I mean, breaking down what happens in this 2010 version. Now, I've seen this movie multiple times. This is the first time that I actually had to break it down. Rewatching it, there's a lot of heavy-handed things in this one that in my opinion, would have probably turned off a lot of people. Right?
For sure.
I think that's why, for a fact, this one probably hurt a lot, because there's a lot of very infuriating things to see.
A lot of things like that, and it's only because of those heavy-handed things where I feel like it also does tune people out of it, because you're just like, well, I don't want to see this.
Yeah.
I'd rather see kills,
Yeah.
taking up space with things that shouldn't be in your face as much,
Exactly. Well, should it or should it not be? I feel like that's a conversation in itself. I mean, should we be aware? It's kind of like that Sound of Freedom movie. Should we be aware of these things? Should we be watching it? And then you have people that say, well, I can't watch that. It's too much. Well, is it, it's too hard. It's too hard to watch because it's too
real.
Yeah, it's too real. That's the problem.
But those things in horror movies, it's just, some people just don't want to see that. You know what I mean? In a horror movie, at least. That Sound of Freedom movie could have its own thing, but you don't want to see that kind of thing in a horror movie, I don't think.
I would argue to say that is the perfect time to see fucked up shit like that. I mean, you're already putting your brain's in disbelief already because of the murders, all that stuff. I mean,
nah, man, Freddy's real.
But by that time, I mean, if you're pulling something like that up, and we'll start the comparison there, because I feel like it's kind of like the hardest part. In the original one, they didn't really distinguish him as a pedophile.
Yeah,
they only said that he was a kid killer.
Yes.
In the 2010 one, they decided to go ahead and label pedo on there.
Yeah, fully deep dive on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's on the registry and everything.
Like I said, I would argue that horror movies would be the perfect time to do that. Now, to do something like that if they wanted to. I'm not saying that they should be putting these things in movies, but at the same time, if it's part of the creative vision and it helps the story, in my opinion, I will say it kind of helped the story. In the original one, they just said it was a kid killer. Now that could make you feel a little bit like you can be on the fence whether or not he deserved the punishment that the parents gave him because he was a kid killer. I mean, a lot of people are going to be like, well, yeah. And then with this one, they added that pedo stuff. They decided to dive deeper and be like, well, not only did he didn't kill any kids, he actually did far worse. He did something, that they have to live with. They had their shit suppressed, whatever. In the original, he was on trial. He wound up bailing out, but then the parents took it into their own hands. In this one, the parents just take it straight into their hands, right? They're just like, hey, we're gonna get this.
No police involved or nothing.
I know, like I said, I'm gonna run down the whole movie right now after we talk about this, but I just wanted to bring this up because I honestly feel like this is probably the harder topic that a lot of people want to listen to and stuff.
Better to get it out the way, I guess. I think because of the time and era of the 1981, it was probably a more taboo thing, to be like, hey, there's no crisis, like calling Freddy a pedophile is insane, So they went with that undertone, and then they went away with it in the movie. 2010, people were kind of just like, oh no, we've seen enough of it. We might as well just shoehorn it in this movie. I don't know. I feel like it just hurts this movie in a way that it kind of reminds me of the 2007 Halloween, where it's like you get unnecessary things in a movie that I guess shouldn't really be there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
In Halloween 2007, I think you said 2017.
2007.
Yeah. In the Halloween 2007, that was a director's cut that, was his original vision. And I would say, yes, it was unnecessary. I mean, if he had to think of a way for Michael to escape, I mean, that was just like... And he was like, I have an idea, and that's what came out. That's crazy. But this one... I feel like it helps with the story because it kind of helps towards the end when it kind of teeters like, oh, we didn't know whether or not he was in the right or wrong. Now they kind of, spoiler alert, they're going to throw that away later on in the movie. But if they would have played on that, I feel like things would have changed. If they would have played on, was he actually innocent or guilty? But since they just completely were like, oh, well, he actually is guilty. I think that's where it just got a little too real for people. But I think having that backstory isn't a bad thing. That's why I said in the 84 one, I feel like they kind of implied it, but they didn't blatantly show you. Like they were just like, hey, it might have happened, wink, wink. Hey, it could have been done, wink, wink. But, it just... You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll probably break it down a little bit more.
For sure.
But just for a little bit of preference, not preference, but to kind of show you where we're kind of standing with the movies for right now. But before we march on and before I break down these movies a little bit more and compare them a little bit further, you want to let them know where they can talk to us, catch it live. If they want to request a movie, talk to us about topics, and support us in a big way.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FIlmBros Podcast. We post new episodes or you get us up there for any news or movies you want us to cover. Listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts at FIlmBros Podcast, at Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, things like that. Support us in a big way. Buzzsprout, link is in those bios of the socials I just gave you. Supporters get special thanks on episodes and special perks just for you guys on the side because you support us and we recognize you for supporting. We'd appreciate it. Catch a live on Twitch, FIlmBros Podcast. We go live every Saturday and throughout the week. Be a part of the conversation. And then subscribe to YouTube at FIlmBros Podcast.
Yes. With that, let's start getting into it. So, A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984 was directed by Wes Craven. Writer was Wes Craven. Obviously, icon in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to tell you the events of the movie, but I'm going to go ahead and give you that after because they're basically the same thing. So I basically got to say it one time.
Yeah.
In the original, Nancy Thompson was played by Heather Langenkamp. Glenn Lance was played by Johnny Depp, his first on-screen role ever.
For
now
sure.
look where he's at, getting shitted on in his bed.
Damn.
Lieutenant Thompson, by John Saxton. Freddy Krueger was played by Robert Englund, and so on and so forth. You also see a little cameo from. She wasn't a big name then, but she turned into a big name in the Insidious franchise. But Lynn Shane, she was the teacher in that movie. She was young, very young. Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984, everybody. And then Nightmare on Elm Street, 2010. That one was directed by Samuel Bayer. Writers were Wesley Strick, Eric Heiser, and Wes Craven apparently has a writer's cred too. So he kind of helped, maybe. Freddy Krueger in this version was played by Jakey Earl Haley. He was hot off Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was a superstar at the time. They said this is the guy who's going to bring it to life. Nancy Holbrook, Rooney Mara, played by Rooney Mara. Quentin Smith was played by Kyle Geller. Chris Fowles was played by Katie Cassidy. And the rest of the... Clancy Brown was in this one. He played Alan Smith. And Connie Britton, Dr. Gwen Holbrook. Clancy Brown, he's came out in multiple movies. Most notable, I believe, The Hunger Games. And Connie Britton, I know her from American Horror Story. She was the mom in the first season.
All right. Well, I've never seen that show.
No? You got to get your horror up, bro.
No. I'm actually fine with it.
What'd you tell me? Got to get your money up, not your funny up. Oh, wait. No, funny up, not your money up. Oh, I don't know.
Man, you already fucked it up.
I fumbled it?
Yeah.
I fumbled it hard?
Yeah.
Harder than the 2010 version?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm mad. I'm mad at you. So, in these movies, like I said, they decided to go carbon copy remake, where 2007 Halloween decided to say, hey, we're going to try to do something different. This one basically does the same thing, but does different things to expand on it, I guess. So, obviously, starts off with a bunch of teenagers. They see Freddy Krueger in their dreams. They start freaking out. They stay awake. In the 84 version, Michael. We gotta stop talking about Michael Myers. Freddy Krueger basically is fucking with them day and night, not letting them sleep. In the 2010 version, same thing, fucking with them day and night, not letting them sleep. Kills off a bunch of the teens until we get the final showdown with the boyfriend, the girlfriend, and Freddy Krueger. Or I guess in the 2010 version, they didn't say they were boyfriend or girlfriend. They were just friends or whatever. Freddy really said boyfriend multiple times. They weren't. I felt like they did that just to be like, oh, you know, the original, they were boyfriend. So I don't know. But they do that, and then at the very end, we think Freddy's dead. They done the deed. One, he gets burnt to a crisp and then stabbed, right? Yes. And then the other one, he gets hacked up, loses his hand, and gets slit on his throat. And then, surprise, we both get, in both versions, we get a bad final kill. In my opinion, bad in different ways. Obviously, the era and the times are gonna dictate that. With that being said, Josh, what are your thoughts? Your initial thoughts on watching the 84 version?
I've seen it before. I knew, obviously, it's a classic. I think it just suffers from the same thing that Halloween, the OG Halloween, suffers from, and it's just dated. It does have good stuff in it. Like, I think the kills are just iconic. Like, even the stuff they used for the OG kills was really spot on stuff. Like those kills are iconic. We'll get to which one was my favorite, obviously, later. But honestly, yeah, classic. Not really much to go on other than that. It was just dated. Like it's hard to watch a 1980s movie and be really enticed, I guess, because you know the technology is lack thereof. But I mean, for the most part, I thought it was good. There was nothing really bad about it. Nothing really good about it either, other than some of the kills. But other than that, it was pretty average.
Did you feel Robert Englund was a breakout star with that?
Oh yeah,
I mean, Freddy in that one?
Yeah, obviously he went on to do like how many more before New Nightmare?
I mean, some people could say Well, I don't think he's iconic. People could be like, well, he played the role, but he wasn't good enough for, you know what I mean? People could say that.
He played him out throughout the sequels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the 2010 version.
Oh, yeah, the 2010 version isn't a sequel.
It's a reboot.
It's a remake.
Yeah.
What do you call it? I think he played him up until Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and then they changed him.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. He has to be iconic at that point.
I'm not saying that he's not.
No,
I'm just saying
that's what it sounds like.
I'm saying that some people might say.
You sound like some people.
Some people might say, you just played a role in a character.
No, he's iconic. It's not so much the sense of because he was acting throughout all of it. You know what I mean? It's not like Michael Myers or Freddy where they kept changing like big gamooks, just to give you that scary person,
the extra oomph.
Yeah, I think the only one to play him consecutively was in the recent trilogy, and that was only him. And yeah, I can admit he's great, but him versus the constant change up is different. Michael Myers is iconic, not the actor, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's what
Freddy
I'm saying.
Krueger is
Freddy Krueger iconic?
Yes. Yeah.
So the actor is not?
Well, yeah. They come hand in hand. It's not like, again,
it's kind of like saying because I don't feel like Freddy Krueger is like Michael Myers in them because he doesn't wear a mask. It's him. So I would say he's kind of like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like, that's what I'm saying. Can you separate that person? Can you be like, oh, I could see somebody else taking on that role?
Well, yeah, but
or can you only see Robert Englund as that person?
Oh,
and is that a part of that fact that because you only had one version of him?
No, I think he does really good. I think he's iconic. Robert Englund as Freddy. You can separate the two, is what I'm trying to say. And again, it's not like, well, yeah, they wear masks and stuff, but that's the thing. It's they went through several actors throughout the Halloween franchise. They are an iconic. It's Michael Myers. You get what I'm saying? It's the actual character. It's not the person behind the mask, because it's usually a stunt person or whatever.
So then it's not Robert. You're comparing what I feel is apples to oranges because one's wearing a mask where Robert Englund is not.
That's why, because one's giving a real performance.
That's what I'm saying.
Robert Englund as Freddy is iconic.
So it's different. So, okay. All right. I'm just trying to clarify
That's why I know. I'm trying to get there, and I hope I'm making sense.
Let me just write it down. What about your initial reaction to the 2010 version? After watching the 84 version, what was your initial reaction to the 2010?
I remember watching the 2010 one. I don't think when it came out, but I was young, obviously. I recognized some stuff, and then immediately, like, once I seen some things, I was like, oh, I remember where this is going. So on and so forth. I was kind of going into it like, okay, clearly this is a fresh take. You can't have any strings attached to the OG. But this one was almost like the OG in some ways. So it really throws you out of it sometimes to try and keep that perspective. But I thought it was, I don't know. It felt like just a lesser version of the OG, if that makes sense. And while I do like that they capitalized on some things and went deeper, because obviously they had the budget for that, I feel like it was lacking in some things like character and things like that. But it was pretty good. I'm not knocking it too bad. I thought it was average.
Yeah, the 84 for me, it gave me kind of like a rewatching it and actually having to analyze it this time. It gave me kind of like a Lost Boys type of vibe. I know it was an 80s movie, and that's probably Lost Boys came out after, so they probably
all those have the same vibe.
Yeah, basically all 80s horror movies basically give you that.
Even in like Terminator, you get that.
Yeah,
so.
And so the tone was there. Everything was cool. At the end of it, I like Robert Englund's portrayal. I don't like how goofy Freddy Krueger is as a killer and so like clumsy in the 84 version. But I do like in the 2010 version, I also don't like how he's super serious. I felt like they could have probably found a balance. I think by the end of both of them, to kind of like sum it up really short so we can move on a little bit, is Freddy Krueger as a killer to me is not really, I guess it's not really for me. I enjoy the Nightmare on Elm Street.
What are we doing here, bro?
I was watching them and I'm just like these it's not for me. Like I enjoy the horror aspect and I enjoy like what the 84 did for horror itself, like where it's come from. And then I like the progression in the 2010 where they try to, do that again and up the ante. I think at one point in post-production they were like, oh, we got to make this movie 3D because they wanted to keep up with the times. They were even trying to like push it. Good thing they didn't. That would have probably been terrible. But
that would have hurt this movie negatively.
100%. Even with some of the things that were happening. But I think both of them, though they have decent plots and premises, both of them, I think a lot of the execution of the movies handicap both of them. And I'm not just talking about the 84 one. I'm talking about the 2010 one. So that's just for me. I don't think Freddy movies like Nightmare on Elm Street are 100% for me. I'm more of a practical kind of person. So watching these again and having to analyze them, I'm just like, yeah, no, I don't think they're for me. But I'm willing to break these down and since I have strings attached, this is one of these ones where I'm just gonna like, I'm hate fucking this movie.
Oh man, this is that thing where we keep running into it, and I'm surprised we haven't talked about it any further. You like, I can enjoy the practical shit, but I like the mystical shit too. So he is like right on my alley. I get the kills, I get the mystical shit, and it's like, damn, interesting how that works.
Oh, because of okay, I see the connection.
You get what I'm saying? I
never thought about that.
Yeah, no, you were just putting it out there, and I was like, man, yeah, no, this, like, it really makes me interested because of that. Only because, like, yeah, I can get behind this dude being a thing, and like, whatever. It's quite literally why I want to finish watching them. Like, I almost put on the second one right after watching the first one.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, I gotta watch the remake now.
Yeah.
But I plan to watch them, and like, I think that's what's interesting me more is the fact that, like, how make believe he is, I guess.
Yeah.
And they keep the practicality with kills and whatnot.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, but let's start diving into it. I want to start putting these movies against each other, and I want to figure out, honestly, which one is the better one. So let's start with the characters. Let's start with the plot line. Obviously, we didn't just have the film. In the 84 version, it kind of revolved around Nancy.
Yeah.
And then her friends were kind of getting murdered around her. But the film basically followed Nancy throughout the whole movie. In the 2010 version, it seems to be following the blonde girl, the friend. I can't remember her name off top. Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember them. Yeah, Chris. It seemed to have been following her in the beginning and kind of hinting that, well, Nancy was Nancy.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was like, okay, so we are following Chris in this one. And then halfway through the movie, they kill off Chris.
Yeah.
And then they just follow Nancy the rest of the... They were just like, oh, okay, here's Nancy.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, it goes down as the same. Chris winds up getting killed right in front of the boyfriend. The boyfriend escapes. I think the boyfriend goes on the run in the 84 version for like a night or so, or like during the day, and then gets Nancy is used as bait to arrest him. Where in this one, he basically gets arrested the same night
immediately.
And then obviously they both get killed in jail. One is more hilarious. I find the 2010 one to be hilarious because the guy's just like, "Let me out of here." In the original one, he was kind of just in the cell himself.
He was strangled.
And we'll talk. Well, obviously, kills will be compared later on, and then we move forward. And that was big. We had the first kill, the girlfriend, the boyfriend. That was it, right? There was no more.
Well, no, because I mean, I don't think Dean is an existing character in the OG.
No, he's not.
And then, like, he was the first kill. Spoiler if you haven't seen these movies. He was the first kill in the 2010 one. The chick, oh no, it's still Chris, right?
Yeah, it should be still Chris.
It's still Chris that's chasing her in the beginning of the 1984 one. So yeah, very different. I think obviously the 2010 one was trying to give you that shock value right out the gate, and this one and the 1984 one was giving you more eerie feeling.
Yeah.
I guess as far as movie intros go, do you prefer the shock value or the eeriness? Because we get some eeriness with the 2010 one, but again, it's a lot you can tell that it's a lot more heavy-handed because they want to give you that shock value right out the gate.
Yeah, they were really trying to imply that something was going to happen, where in the first one it kind of just starts off slow.
Yeah.
And then you're eventually introduced to Freddy and all that.
Yeah.
I like the 2010 one. I like the shock value. I enjoy how in the beginning he's automatically a threat, whereas in the 84, easing your way into it is not a bad thing. I guess this is just up to preference, but I really like that hard hitting. Establish him as a threat. Let me know what the fuck this dude's working with, especially if we already seen and was kind of like slowly introduced in the original. I would say this is how they should have started off the 2010 one.
Okay, that's fair. I like the scenery of the 2010 one, like the diner and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know if right out the gate the kill was necessary. I'm still I feel very indifferent about it, I guess. I do like the aspect of what it looks like in real time, because the way he dies and stuff, he basically stabs himself. I just like the way that they played it off, how from Chris's POV, or just he does it himself. There's no one there. As far as the 1984 one goes, I like the eeriness of it. I like the actual like setup, and maybe that's just because how they all were those movies way back when.
Mm-hmm.
They all kind of had a slow start, but I think I prefer the slow start.
Okay, yeah,
it really shows who Freddy is. I think because he's basically I think he knows he's that pretty much invincible in the dream world. So
yeah.
he's it's like prey playing with their food. I guess.
Yeah, and that's gonna probably be a talk for when we talk about Freddy and all that. But we had one extra character in the 2010 one, and we only had 3 in the other one.
Yeah.
Which one did you feel executed it better, at least plot wise?
What do you mean?
Like kills, getting through the movie with the characters. Which ones were more tolerable to you? The 84 versions or the 2010 versions?
More tolerable. The 84 had good kills. Some of it came off goofy only because of the time.
Not kills, characters.
Oh, characters. What? I could have sworn you said kills.
I said.
It's my bad.
Yeah.
Characters?
Yeah.
The 2010 one had a lot of obnoxious characters. I really feel like, obviously because of the era, whatever, a lot of teens were just like,
I seen a lot of kids with the skater haircut in the movie, and I was just like, this is the 2010 movie.
Yeah, no, a lot of it was just like, oh, whatever, man, whatever. I'm looking at my iPod Nano, whatever the fuck. Honestly, I prefer the actual teens in the 1984 one. I didn't really like the mom right out the gate. I'll say that because, I mean, in the 2010 one, she's gone for the whole movie. And then in the 1984 one, she's there being an alcoholic.
I guess that's a question. Did you like that the mom was responsible and actually watching out for her daughter? Or did you like that she was a drunk looking out for her daughter?
Oh, well, I mean, she was gone the whole movie, dude, in the 2010 one.
The mom?
She's like, I have a flight to London, and then she's just not there again.
Nancy's mom?
Yeah.
Nancy's mom was there the whole time. The one that you're talking about is Chris's mom.
Oh, Chris's mom. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Chris's mom. But that's what I'm saying. That one has 2 characters to follow. You're following Chris
for like good 15 minutes.
No, not even. I checked the time. We're following Chris for the first 30 minutes of the movie.
Oh shit.
And then
Nancy.
And then no, I think Nancy, no, cuz we get the whole thing where she dies and everything like that. Nancy is not officially the main character until an hour into the movie.
Damn.
That's when we get that scene after the boyfriend dies and then she's in her bed, just starting to get into the whole Freddy thing. I think we get little glimpses of her at the cemetery, her painting and not wanting to go to sleep. But it was following Chris for a good 30 to 45 minutes of the movie. Hour into the movie, that's when we see Nancy. I'm like, what the fuck? So that was one thing for me in the 2010 one when it came to the characters and the way they handled it. I was like, why are we following one character and dumping her off and then following the other one? I thought they were going to change it up and be like, okay, we're going to follow Chris.
Yeah.
And Nancy's going to get the shaft this one.
Damn, dude.
And they didn't pull the trigger.
That does me off so hard, yeah. And then I guess after all that, I think the 1984 one has a straighter line of things going on. You know who your main character is, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the mom goes, again, just to get back to that topic, I kind of don't. I wasn't really fucking with her character. I was kind of just like, damn, why is she around? like she was an alcoholic the whole movie, and I was kind of like, oh well. So I guess I prefer the 2010
Yeah, and they didn't really in the 84 one. They didn't really dive into like besides what they did. They didn't really dive into like why she was an alcoholic or acting like this to her daughter. They just were like, oh, she's just gonna be a drunk in this
Times
movie.
are tough, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick up the bottle.
And then in the 2010 one, well, I feel like the mom was just overbearing in that one. With Nancy. Obviously, the one with Chris, she did leave on a flight, and she was just like, "See ya, get some sleep." She got some sleep.
Come back, and she gonna be dead.
Yeah, she got some sleep. All right. And then, yeah, Nancy's mom was overbearing and made sure that she was watching out for her, but she was more caring and loving. It wasn't like a alcoholic or trying to be abusive. Like she was actually trying to like watch out for Nancy in this one. So I will say, as far as characters go and the way they handle them, I think the 84 does better, giving you a straight stream of like plot and like who we're following, and lets you know off the bat who these characters are, even though they don't dive into their backgrounds too much. But the 2010 one, I do like what they did with the mom in that one. I think the characters,
she was more valuable.
Yeah, the characters weren't so good when it following the characters weren't so good. I did like when we finally settled on Nancy, but it was just so far into the movie. I was like, well, what the, why even tease her in the beginning or anything like that if we're just gonna completely ignore her for the rest of the movie? It just seemed like they put her in there kind of to be like, well, no, Nancy needs to be the one to win, otherwise, people are gonna riot. Yeah. So, character wise, 1 through 5, how do we feel about the characters?
In the 1984 version, I'll give it a 3. And I can appreciate what the 2010 one was doing, fleshing them out or whatever. But again, a lot of that stuff comes because they obviously had the budget and the times were different, so on and so forth. I'll give them like a 3.5.
The characters?
Yeah, in the 2010 one.
In the 2010?
Yeah,
3.5.
Mm-hmm. And
the 84?
3.
A 3. And then for me, the 84, I'd give it a 3 as well for the 84. I think they really told you who the characters were. Obviously, like I said, they didn't give you hella background. They were just like, these are your characters. This is the way they act.
Yeah.
They're gonna fucking die tonight. That was basically
doesn't matter if you're not gonna get to know them.
Yeah, so I give the characters in the 84 a 3, but in the 2010 one, I gotta give it a 2.
I gave them that half point only because they managed to flesh out some shit, but again, they were all obnoxious. You know what I mean? They didn't feel like teenagers to me. Like Dean looked like an old man. Like am I tripping in that? Like I'm sure it was because he hadn't slept or whatever, but he didn't look like a teenager. All these dudes looked like adults.
Yeah. They look older than what they were supposed to be. I was like, why are they even in high school? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
At that point, put them in college.
Freddie kept them from college, obviously. Be more sensitive. So plot wise, that we can add digging into the backgrounds of characters and stuff like that into this one as well. Plot wise, 84 versus 2010. How do we feel about it? So obviously we have, like I said, it's basically straight streamed in both of them. It's Freddy's here. He's here to kill you for a reason. One deals with, goes in depth and says pedo. The other one goes not that in depth and just says, hey, he killed kids and he was let off by the justice system. Now they, they set him free, and parents decided to do justice the way they did. How did we feel about the story as a whole? The extra that they added to the characters, all that stuff. How'd you feel?
I like that I really enjoy that the 2010 one just added depth. Maybe too much depth hurt them a little bit, depending on how you look at the runtime and things like that. As fun as the 1984 one, I was really vibing with the surface level, I guess, of the characters. Cause they're gonna die. It doesn't really matter what their interests are. Just that, you know what I mean? Like, unless they're a main component, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
So Chris in the 1984 one, the boyfriend, like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't need their backstory, I guess. Like, other than they're Nancy's friends and things like that. So I think I'm probably fucking with the 1984 version again with this one. Only because it's surface level things, and the 2010 one, it does have pluses, but all that character depth really just kind of falls flat when you think about it. Even as far as the whole the pedophile stuff with Freddy and things like that. Like, it's cool they gave him that depth, I guess, but way too heavy-handed. And for me, it was just unsettling and not in a good way, I guess.
Yeah. The 84 one, I don't like that we just kind of dump characters in front and just were like, oh, you know, they're just here to be slaughtered anyways. We don't have to go in depth. I like that they tried to make some in-depth moments within the 2010 one. They tried to get the actors to act their ass off. I know Nancy was doing her best, you know, with her, you know, trauma scenes and everything, which was good. The whole, I think the fact that Freddy was in their lives this deep, and that the parents had to suppress their child's memory in order for them to, you know, forget about him, but they actually weren't in school with these kids before the entire time, is a lot better premise to me than just being like, I don't remember Freddy at all. You know what I mean? Because in the original 84, he was killing kids, and the parents were just like, he was let off, so we're just gonna do justice. He didn't even hurt your kid. Technically, Nancy was unharmed and all that. Like, don't get me wrong, he could have gotten her, but she was unharmed in all this, and the mom was just a drunk about it and upset about it. But like, at the end of the day, Nancy was fine. She didn't even know who Freddy was until he was just like, well, Elm Street is the place where I reside because this is where I died. Yeah. I'm gonna kill all your kids still, and blah 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 blah. So I mean, the 84 one, that's cool, but doesn't really give you a tie to the characters. It just says, oh, I'm here to kill kids. Your parents fucked up and killed me. I'm still gonna kill you, all of your fucking kids on this street. So in the 2010 one, I kind of like that they gave that character development where it's like, okay, these kids are really traumatized, not because of the fact that he's just killing kids on that street. It's because these specific kids are specific to Freddy Krueger. That Marcus kid was specific to Freddy Krueger. All of his victims were in that class with him, you know? So he loved those kids. He's chasing those kids now. I mean, the motivation kind of stops when all those kids are dead, and it's kind of like, well, now I'm just going to be a mass serial ghost killer on Elm Street. Like, I feel like that's where later on, if they would have made sequels, it would have probably hiccuped. But for this movie itself, for the 2010, I kind of like that whole plot line and how, like, it kind of helped with the characters.
That's fair. I that's fair only in the fact that, again, I think it's just a question of runtime, and you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like 1984 film is not going to be as long as the remake of a few years later.
I honestly feel like the remake was like, how long was it?
Felt like two close to 3 hours.
Well, it was an hour and a half. So literally the first 45 minutes was Chris and the boyfriend in the 2010 one, and then the boyfriend dying, and then Nancy the last 30 minutes. Yeah. And in the 84 it was Nancy the whole time, plus, you know, with Freddy Krueger in tow and all that. So at the end of it, what would you point 84 1 through 5 for the plot? How would you do that?
I don't want to be too favorable because, again, it does have its flaws. I give it a 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
And for the 2010?
2010, taking in what you said and things like that, I can appreciate what it was trying to do. I give it a 3. I think they're on par right there. I will say that the townspeople having that motive was interesting, because is it better to have them just right out the gate go after him and incite their own kind of justice, or is it more fucked up that the justice system failed and so they took it in their own hands to do justice? You know what I mean?
I think circumstance really makes a difference too. Like I said, in the 84 one, if my kid was in that class, all right, if my kid was in that, or if he was killing kids on the street or whatever, and we lived on that street, and they were like, well, you know what? As Neighborhood Watch says, we got to get this guy.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense for the 84. They were going to be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and press this guy. But Neighborhood Watch handbook would say call the cops first and let them deal with the kid killer. They did. The trial happened. He got let off, and then they went to go do the thing. So it makes sense. It has a pattern. It's just, if the justice system said he didn't kill the kids, let the justice system do his job. I guess I don't know
why he got let off on a technicality.
And then in the 2010 one, I guess I could feel for the parents because if somebody was doing that to my kid, I'd want to do the same thing. So I can understand the heat of passion when they find out.
Yeah.
So I think I can relate a little bit more to the heat of like, you know what I mean? In the moment type shit. Like, what the fuck? We just found this shit out. Fuck that. We're gonna go get this motherfucker ourselves. You feel me?
Yeah.
And then obviously they decided to do that too, but after the justice system and everything. So what? I mean, yeah, no, I gotta give the 2010 one like at least a 5. No, I'm playing.
Oh, same, bro.
Story wise, I gotta give it a 4. Plot, all that, I'll give it a 4. And then the 84 one, I gotta give it like a 3. It did its job. It let you know what it needed to do. I respect it, but I think that in the moment type feeling, and especially for the I'm one of those that the punishment needs to fit the crime.
Oh, okay.
And so I feel like the punishment for Freddy in the 2010 one fit the crime. In the 84 one, if they would have went into it and been like, did he actually kill the kids? Or yeah, we seen him kill the kids, then I could be like, well, it fit the crime. But we didn't even get all that. We just gotta assume off word that he killed all these kids.
Hell yeah, he killed those kids.
But, I mean, the justice system said, no, he didn't.
He got off on a technicality.
What?
So
you technically didn't stab him. You're Jigsaw. Oh,
It's a whole different franchise now. Freddy Krueger. Want to play a game?
Watching a lot of horror movies.
Yeah, no, they're all coming to mix in together. I see what you're saying. I just think the 2010 one was just
Too heavy.
Some aspects, yeah, too obnoxious with it. Like a lot of, ooh, look at this, you know. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, look, pedophilia. Pedophilia. Like, what? No, that's
just scared pedophile. Like,
you know what? Maybe that could be our next category, obviously. But like, let's talk about the scares, right?
Yeah.
The jump scares.
Jump scares.
Did the 2010 get you?
Not really.
I don't know.
No.
Now when she was in the attic, when she turned around, and he was like, bah.
No. I feel like this is one of those movies in the era of time where they were just getting too predictable. And sure, you can say, oh, you can predict all the scares or whatever, but for me, you gotta make me believe that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't believe that shit, of course I'm gonna see everything coming. You know what I'm saying?
But I think that's because you've seen all the movies. I think you've seen like a lot of newer movies, so they really steered away from that. 2010 was an older time, so that's when all the tropes were coming up. I remember them getting me. I think the one that got me was the one when he was in the attic, and then they did the whole fake out thing with the mirror with Chris, where they thought that they were gonna she washes her face, she goes down when she stands up, it's supposed to be somebody behind them. They didn't do that. And then after that, it kind of just I feel like they just kind of stopped. I don't think they try to scare you anymore after that. They're just like, well, we did our best, you know.
We tried.
But look, Freddy Krueger, you know.
We tried. If we got you, we got you.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So I don't think that they had a lot of jump scares. Where in the 84 one, I don't think there was a lot of jump scares, but there was a lot of moments where I was like, what is that? Like you can hear Freddy screaming, so like, or not screaming, but laughing, and it gives you that eerie feeling. And yes, the 2010 one gives you that with the suspense music and all that stuff, but it kind of falls flat when burnt face Freddy comes out and is like, nah.
He comes out of his little hobble. I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, that's not how he talks. But like, I think the 1984 one again. It's tough only because one set the premise and the other one is trying to do better in that aspect to retell it freshly and things like that. And the 1984 one, it was a lot of eeriness, and there was not much jump scare, but I feel like the 1984 one kind of does it a little better in terms of like scaring, I guess.
Not scary, but I'd say suspense. I think that, like I said, 2010 one is like they tried too hard. It seemed like they were doing their best to set it up, and then when they set it up, it was like, well, what do we do when we actually set this up? Do we dunk it? Do we subtly do it? And they just kind of went. I feel like they went balls deep with it, and they were just like, hey, we're just gonna go ahead and just go all out because 84 came out. People want to see bigger, better, all that stuff. And though bigger and better is sometimes good, some of the things didn't pan out with this one, and I say the jump scares is one of them 100%. And the fact that they just gave up halfway through the movie was just
they're like, yeah, well,
genuinely the one in the attic got me again. But then after they did the whole washing the face thing, they just stopped. They were just like, well, we're not gonna try to do this to you anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
we wasted all the good stuff in that one attic scene.
The attic scene, and then well, obviously, I think in the beginning, I think they showed their hand a little too early. I think the director went in there not able to hold his wad, and he was just like, the beginning sequence is gonna fucking rock, and then the rest of it was just like, yeah, yeah, we're on the roller coaster already, might as well finish it. So jump scares. Oh, you know what? And I kind of want to throw this into it too, because I think it kind of fits. But how do we feel about the whole Freddy in the daytime with the 84? Because I feel like that kind of helps with the scares and stuff, right? Because there were some times where you didn't know if they were dreaming or not in the 2010 one, but in the 84 one, Freddy would just straight out fuck with them when they were awake. So, and I guess in the 2010 one, to make it make sense, they use micro naps and all that stuff, and that you could tell, and they would show you like, oh, shit would happen when they go into these dream states. Whereas in the 84 one, they didn't really do that, and they still did stuff like tongue kiss Nancy with a phone. So I mean,
that was at night. That happened at night.
Yeah, but she wasn't sleeping. She was wide awake, and he did it.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that was because she was tired. I think they were implying the same thing. The 2010 one kind of just throws it out there to make it make sense. Which I really enjoy the 2010 one in that aspect, because imagine that shit, bro. Imagine being so tired to where you just start hallucinating, and like it makes Freddy a real threat at that point, because you're just like, well, fuck. I know I'm wide awake, but that does not look like the pile of clothes is clearly a monster now. No.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that really added to the scares for me. I know the eeriness really helped in the 84, but I think when it came down to like the thrill, the scare, and all that, or feeling something for this movie, I think that's the point where I was like, okay, well, yeah, now I could feel it because there's actual tension.
Yeah.
In the 84 one, I was just like, how is he fucking with them without sleeping? Like that, I thought they're supposed to be asleep. She's clearly wide awake. How is he doing this? And then obviously in the 2010 one, they made that a thing where like, he would be walking down and, bad CGI bookshelves would like shake and shit. Yeah. And it would, the water would.
Not many jump scares. So
jump scares and all. The eeriness
it plays on the eeriness. A lot of it starts with the eeriness, and it works here. I'd give this one like a 4.
Yeah, 4 with all the tension and all that.
Yeah.
All right. And then
2010 again, I can appreciate what they were doing with some of the stuff, like that grocery store scene, like I said. But yeah, there wasn't much jump scare. They kind of bail on the idea entirely somewhere down the line. I give that one like a 3.
A 3. Okay. That makes sense. For me, let me get an 84 or 4. 84 didn't really have a lot of tension. I felt that eerie feeling, but to me, Freddy wasn't really a threat, because I think another reason why was that boy was a goofball. That boy wouldn't do shit. My boy yabba dabba dooed himself. Like how do you do that in a horror movie?
Yeah.
He swings his arm like it's a bat and misses. Like if he's fucking Jason Voorhees or something, and then is like, oh, and then he gets up and then like chases him, and I'm like, what? Like it felt like Freddy can control the dream, but then you slip, motherfucker. Like that doesn't make any sense. You can't control your footwork. That doesn't make any sense. I didn't make it. That was not scary to me at all. So with 84, I gotta give it a 2. I think it gave me that eeriness, but at the end of the day, there was not really enough scary elements to make me feel anything.
Yeah.
But I think with the 2010 one, they didn't have him yabba dabba do, and they gave him that like playfulness and everything. That what do you call it? That 84. Yeah. They try to give him that playfulness. I feel like he was more serious in this one, Freddy. But that I feel like his vibe really added to the extra vibe that the movie was giving with the blood and the extra kills and all that. So I gotta give this one a solid 3 with the scariness meter. I don't think it was like super scary. It was average. I could have walked away and been fine with it, but I gotta analyze it. So I gotta give it a 3 at least. But let's go to my favorite part, actually. CGI. Obviously, the 84 didn't have any CGI, or as much. They had practical shit. So we'll try to compare it. Obviously, the times are going to be different. We can't really compare CGI to what they had.
It's just visual effects.
Yeah.
It's not CGI. It's visual effects.
I guess the best part to kind of compare and give you an idea of like what I'm talking about, the ending, the kills. In the original, the mom is killed by getting sucked through a door, and you could clearly tell it was a fucking doll.
Yeah.
Now, you could clearly tell in multiple parts of the movie that there's multiple dolls there. Obviously, you can use that as a factor if you need to assess your number. But in the 2010 version, we also got a similar scene, different. The mom is still killed at the end, very horrifically with CGI through a mirror this time.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the best final kill of the movie. In neither, I would say in both parts, I think they were both done very wrong, and they could have probably done without them. But they did their best. They tried. How do you feel about the CGI, the practical effects, and which one did it better, I guess? And like I said, it's kind of hard to compare 84, 2010, but we got to do our best.
I think, well, oh, man. The 2010 tries to do a lot of things. Obviously, they rehash a lot of what the 1984 one was doing, but mainly just with updated look. You get what I'm saying? Like the wall scene, the bathroom scene, like you get a lot of the same looking scenes. They're just updated.
Yeah, they give you, they used a lot of iconic shots.
Yeah, I think the 1984 one does it so much better because they were limited at the time. It was a lot about getting creative. Yes, the dolls look stupid, and you can tell that there's a bunch. But again, that's just chalked up to the times. And way off topic, but in Halloween 2, a kid gets murdered. You can tell that's like a doll the way he swings. You know what I mean? So it's a product of the time, and I can appreciate that they knowing the time and things like that. They went with that because they were like, "This is gonna be good." Like, sure, it looks like a doll, but this is gonna kill in theaters, whatever. And in the 2010 one, they just try to recapitalize on those famous shots too much to where, like, yeah, it kind of hurts. And again, some of the CGI they do use is kind of bad. Like, that last kill was, like, bad.
Yeah. The shaky bookshelves were bad.
Yeah.
What other CGI was bad? The blood that shot down and dropped her into the bed.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie was pretty... I mean, it was better than what the rest of it was, but that one was pretty bad, too. That's what I'm saying. Like, the 84 one, I think both movies are gonna get docked for this shit. I'll even put it on my number. They're both getting 2s. Fuck that. They're both getting 2s. You're lucky. The reason why they're both getting 2s is because they both, though I get it, it's the times. I know 84, they didn't have a lot of CGI. They had to go with a lot of practical stuff. But if you can't make it work, I'd say just drop it from the movie. The doll at the very end, the dolls in between. I get the skeleton one when she's getting like sucked into the bed. I do like the iconic shots like in the 84 where, you know, he's in the wall and it's actually just plastic. Like, I've seen the behind the scenes. It's actually just plastic, and then it obviously is changed into a wall later on. And then the hand in the tub, and there's a lot of iconic shots in this one that were redid in the 2010 one. Some of them were better. The wall one was not better. They tried to go a little bit more all out by having them come out and the knives actually coming out the wall. And I give them props for trying, but the CGI in it was atrocious.
Yeah.
And it being a 2010 movie, there was a lot of times where I was like, that could have been practical. You guys could have easily done that practical and saved some money for those money shots that you actually wanted to do, like that ending. Like the bookshelves. I think that was one that really stood out to me because you could tell he was just on a platform and like the walls were green screen or whatever. You could have easily put him on a practical set with bookshelves, shook it, made it fall, cut away, come back, and the bookshelves are fine.
Yeah.
But you guys literally wasted money to CGI bookshelves shaking. The water CGI to make it reverse, I get that, fine, whatever. I mean, that's probably just a reverse shot or whatever. But like other stuff that was unnecessary, like the hallway that turns into in the original. It looked like it was just marshmallow, like what is it, jet puff in the stairs, right? And this one they're like, oh, we gotta go bigger. How are we gonna go bigger? Hallway turns into blood or whatever. But the change up was so stupid. Why didn't you just do what they did in the original? Have her step a couple feet into it and then eventually just change it gradually. It would have blended in so much better.
Yeah.
Now, like I know when we talk about this, I don't want to make it sound like I'm a filmmaker or anything. Like I know what to do, but you know, visually and what I think could have probably would have been really does play a part, because I at least with my weigh-ins, because you've seen these kinds of things done better. I think you've seen a hallway scene with that turns into a pool in a different movie. I'm trying to remember what it is off top, but you've seen it before and they've done it way better. So both of them off top, gotta give them 2s.
No, I'm giving the 1984 one a 3, and the 2010 one a 2.
Explain, please.
Well, like I said, the 1984 one just does a lot better with what they got, and yeah, you could totally look at it like from that perspective of if you can't be done, don't do it. But they were going all out for this one, I guess, and it just looks better. I know. Comparing the 2010 one with actual CGI and all that to a practical looking movie, it's two different things. But the 2010 one, with its advancements in technology, should have been able to perform so much better than a movie in 1984. The 1984 one just kind of blows it out the water with all the visual effects.
That's not true, because I think I think they even out, because in the 84 one, like, they do have some nice close up shots when they, you know, slice her in the chest and it's all 4, and then that's basically it. The other one, he gets hung. You see the other little things. You see Freddy Krueger in a fucking fat suit when he's getting burnt up alive at the end of the movie. You know, when they change him for the body double. It's so funny.
Yeah.
The dolls, and in the 2010 one, yeah, they should have done more, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm judging them by the times, and I've seen movies in the 80s where they do better with dolls. Yeah, we see Halloween 2, they get hit with the thing, but it's just a doll. That makes sense. He was in a mask. You can't really tell. I mean, unless you're really like, oh yeah, that is a doll. Like, you could tell, but you can't really tell. And in this one, you can absolutely tell.
Yeah.
In the 84 Nightmare on Elm Street, you can absolutely tell. And same thing with the 2010 one. You guys are in the 2010s. Though the Avatar: The Last Airbender was ass. Piranha 3D was kind of shit. Like, all those movies were bad. They had better CGI than what they try to do in this one. And, you know, like I said, 2010. This was in the beginning of CGI when everything was made great. Nowadays, in 2023, I mean, CGI is kind of slip and griff. But
oh, yeah.
they could have done a little bit better with this movie. So that's why I say, for the times that they were in, and, you know, seeing other movies in that eras, they could have done better. They both deserve a 2 for me.
Yeah, no. I just think the 1984 one does it so much better.
Okay.
With less, too.
All right. So we're getting to our final 2 categories. We're going to add them up pretty soon. Discuss a couple more things if we have, and then we'll spit out our actual ratings for both of them.
Yeah.
And so, kills. How do we feel about the kills? 84, 2010. Obviously, the 84 only had like about, I want to say 4 kills.
4? It's Chris, the boyfriend, Nancy's boyfriend, the mom.
That's it?
That's it? Yeah, like 3?
Yeah. Nancy didn't have a boyfriend.
Oh,
yeah,
Johnny Depp.
Glenn. Yeah.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he dies. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
And the 2010 one had
5. So 5, because the mom at the end too.
Yeah.
And then in the 2010,
it's Dean, it's Chris, the boyfriend, Chris's boyfriend. 3?
Chris, the mom at the end.
Well, yeah, 4.
Do we count Dominic? I mean, did he die? He got sliced, and then he got left alone.
I don't think he died. I don't think they say he died.
No, I don't think he died. I think he just got cut up, because he even helps finish him off.
You know, he didn't die.
But we'll still no, it wasn't a kill. It doesn't count then. So 2010 only had 4 with the mom.
4. Dean, Chris's boyfriend, and the mom. 4.
Yeah. Well. And then 4. So 4 and 4. What the fuck? See that, and that's another thing. If you're gonna have a dream killer, fucking kill people, man. What the hell? That's crazy. Just 4 kills. That's insane. So how do we rate these kills? What do you think? 84.
84. I think 84. Again, Dean was a really good kill. I can't not acknowledge that. Chris's boyfriend, the way he gets stabbed in the chest is really good. But I think those are the only 2 to stand out for me. Because, I mean, Chris is just a rehashing of the OG. And the mom's kill was so unserious with that mirror. And I'm sure we'll talk about endings and compare those 2. But, holy shit, that one just made no sense to me. I think the 1984 one does it so much better. Like, even, like, Johnny Depp's death alone was just 10 times better.
Yeah, that was that I think that's the most iconic kill, to be honest. Is the 84.
I give it to the 84.
84. What's the number?
Out of 5, right?
Yeah.
4.
4
Mm-hmm.
for kills?
Yeah.
And then 10?
2010, 2.5.
Oh.
Because, yeah, I can give it to, like, they didn't stand out as much, but I can give it to the way Dean died and the boyfriend. I forget his name. Chris's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
Like, when he was like, the mind stays alive for 7 minutes after the heart stops or whatever. Like, that was kind of creative.
That shit went hard a little bit. That's what I'm saying. I like that they actually used dream stuff because that shit's real. Like, apparently your brain does go for 7 minutes after it's, or even longer than that sometimes. And then, like, what was the other thing that he had said? Or what they bring up, the whole micro naps, that was a real thing too. Yeah. Which is insane. I had to look that up. I wanted to really make sure. But yeah, it's fucking true. If you go days without sleeping, you will hallucinate. And then if your brain is really overheated, you can go into a coma. That's insane. That is so... Don't stay awake like that. Yeah. Get some sleep. Worry about your guys' health. Kill-wise, they both only have 4. The mom gets killed twice in the 84 one. One under the sheets, and then she turns into a toy skeleton and then she's a toy at the end of the movie. He yabba dabba dude Nancy multiple times.
That's funny.
Glenn's is the most iconic kill in that one. Chris, he just lifted her up and did the 4 claws on her chest in that one too, right?
He was throwing her around. He does the chest thing, yeah. And I think she dies a little bit more gruesome in the 1984 one. And the 2010 one, seeing her death, and like, I don't think there was any music going around. So
no, you just heard the...
Yeah. That shit had me dying, dude. I was laughing my ass off. I was like, this is so unserious.
Yeah.
That shit was funny. Like, you heard her feet, like, smack the wall. I was like, this is unserious.
Yeah, they should have really tried to... Dude, they both were unserious, though. The 84 one, she was just swinging back and forth. Like, she hit one wall, and then she went back, and then she went back, and then went back, and then cut, and then dead or whatever. But I think she got clawed up a little bit more. I don't think it was just a 4. And then this one, it was just like a straight down the line. And then we didn't get no new iconic kills. It was just more all of the same. Dean died by cutting his throat. Yeah. The boyfriend got his shit pushed in through his chest. Yeah, I'll give it to the 84 one. I know I've been trying to be a little bit more favorable to the 2010, but the kills I got to give it a 4 for the Glenn one. Honestly, I'll give it a 4 for the 84 and then 2.5 for the 2010 one cuz I did like Dean.
That's why.
And then
Dean and the boyfriend are like the only ones to stick out.
Yeah, I do like those two.
They did a reverse Glenn where obviously the blood and she falls from the bed and all that, but that's a cool visionary thing to look at. Yeah. But wasted, if I'm being for real.
Yeah, like why didn't you? It would have been cool to have seen maybe honestly Dominic die, because I would have probably been like, they could have probably used that to have done an iconic kill on him like they did with Glenn, and they just kind of squandered it. They wasted it. So with that, we're to our final question: who was the better Freddy Krueger? Yeah. We're gonna put them together. Mm-hmm. Freddy Kruegers. We have Jackie Earl Haley in the 2010 and the great Robert Englund in the 1984. Yeah. Like you said, he's very iconic. Robert Englund is more playful in his. He jokes, laughs. Yeah. In the 2010 one, yes. Jackie Earl Haley is more scary, I guess. Does evil laughs, chuckles, all that good stuff. He's more burnt in the face. I think they said in the behind the scenes multiple times that they were trying to go for a more burn victim kind of look. Yeah. And in the 84 one, it was all prosthetics. They made him look kind of burnt, but it, obviously it was fake. It was mocked up to be more horror.
He looked more melted.
Yeah, exactly.
Than burn victim, I guess.
Exactly. So what do you think about both Freddy's and, whatever score you give them?
Yeah, I want to start with look, because no hate to the 2010 one, but Freddy's look is just iconic. Like, I really feel like Robert Englund is just where it's at look wise. So I'm giving that to him, obviously, right out the gate. I wish we would have had a balance between the funny and seriousness of both, because the 2010 one, yeah, I like that he was serious. I also really enjoy Robert Englund only because he was that playful in a very creepy way, I guess. I don't know. I really think they both have something that the other lacks, which is I don't know why they were trying to make them kind of funny in the 1984 one. I can acknowledge that, yeah, it did make me chuckle a few times, but still felt very random but again, I guess it is just him playing with his food. In terms of story and things like that, I'm giving it to the 2010 one. Obviously, they go more in depth with him and things like that. Robert Englund's Freddy has 6-7 movies of exploring all that,
Yeah.
This one is one and done, and they do what they can with one. As far as everything else goes, he did good kills in the 1984 one, things like that, and he continues to just up the ante throughout the series. But based on this one, man, I don't know. It's tough. All
right. Well, let me say my piece, and maybe it'll help you sway.
Yeah.
So the 84 one, I think you're right on the look. I like the creepiness of Jack Earl Haley's of his look in the movie, and I get wanting to see inside of his skin, kind of like what they did with the Dark Knight and stuff like that. I understand what they were trying to do, but it just came off as too much in that one. I do like his sweater. I do like his hat in this one. In the 2010 one. In the 84 one, it was obviously it's iconic. It's the original. I can't even be mad. I wish in the 2010 one they would have went Wes Craven New Nightmare route. I don't know if you've seen that one, but Freddy's look, he's more red and he has pointy ears, and they try to make him look a lot more evil in that one. I think you kind of get a glimpse of it too in Freddy versus Jason when he's in in his dream sequence. It's all red and he's super evil.
Little montage.
So they could have went somewhere that route. Now that's another thing I think you're right about, is that they both lack something. I wish there was that middle ground where the 2010 version was playful and the 84 one was a little bit more serious, because as much as I enjoy the take of playing with their food and all that stuff, because you're invincible, at the same time, bro, just get it done. And having it with context, right? My context is Freddy uses fear to power up. Motherfucker, you not scary with them long ass arms coming at me down the alley, bro. I'm like, what do you want, a hug? Is that what you want with those long ass arms? You want a hug? And then you see the hands or whatever, and then the whole tongue kissing through the phone. I'm like, bro, I'd have bit his tongue off. Give me that shit. What are you doing, Freddy? Don't do that to me. You're not gonna scare me like that, bro. Yeah. That shit, I like all that. What could have been done with? I get the playfulness, but there's a way to be playful at the same time as being scary. And I think in the 2010 one, they did it a little bit better, because if he needs fear, and the best way to get the most amount of fear out of him is keep him awake for multiple days. Make sure. I just want to say this real quick. In the 84 one, Freddy got hit with a fucking coffee pot, bro. A damn coffee pot. That was funny. Ridiculous, bro. In the 2010 one, it was hard to get him. Yeah. They weren't able to touch him until the very end. When they pulled him into the real world. And that was because he wasn't being even though he was being playful, in his own sick way, killing the dog, bringing her outside, laughing, doing all that shit, and then eventually getting to the point and killing him. Yeah. To me, that makes sense. Giving him the backstory, because he even said too, your trauma is what fuels me. You're scared of me, and you remembering the fact that I did this to you scares you even more. So now I'm even more powerful. You're not gonna be able to stop me. With that context, that fear is needed. I personally got to give it to I wouldn't say the actor himself for Freddy, but the direction that they were going with in 2010.
Okay.
I don't think that he executed it to the best of his ability, only because of the fact that they overdid it with the makeup and the way that they made him look. Robert Englund is a icon.
He had the motive. He just needed the better look.
Yeah, the better look and maybe talking too, because I didn't like the whole I understand him being creepy, but Robert Englund, when he spoke, he was able to, get his point across when he's speaking. This one, it was just more like, that your brain lives 7 minutes after.
His lips were like not moving.
They weren't moving. They weren't moving at all. I was like, damn, Freddy, you trying to kiss him? Like, what are you doing? Give him a kiss on the forehead? Yeah. You say it all the time, but I'm just gonna say it's so unserious, bro. That shit was just the close-ups were just not good in that movie at all when I was watching it. Like, every single time you could tell like his face was fake. At least with Roberts, you could tell that it was his face just with makeup or little pieces on it. It wasn't all.
They were trying to go for, again, he just looked melted. He didn't look like a burn victim. He dead ass looked like melted, like he's been through shit. Like he's been through hell type shit.
Yeah.
And he just needed the look. The 2010 one, I guess, now needed the look, and then it would have been a little bit better. So how to score it, I guess. I mean, is his motive enough to overlook such an iconic look that was kind of necessary, or what?
I guess that all depends on you.
Damn, dude, don't put me in this pickle.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rank mine first. So I'm gonna give the 84 one. Robert Englund, he's an icon. Love him. I'm gonna give him a 4.5. He's great in the character. I think he does amazing. And this is not just because he nostalgia or anything, because if he was bad, I would completely give it to him. I think he really sold the character as Freddy when it comes to the playfulness. Like I said, the direction was lacking, and that's why I got to give him the 5. But I get where he was coming from. I got to give the 2010 a 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because I do like the motive, but I hate the look. I think the face was really bad, and I don't like the talking when he would speak. But the motive on why he was doing it really sealed the deal for me with the movie and helped me keep watching. So I think for me, those are the important aspects. What would you give it?
I give the 2010 one a 3, simply because motive. He just needed the look to complete it. A little bit more playfulness. Move your mouth a little bit more, like
a 3.
Yeah. And Freddy, the 1984 Freddy, he had the look. He just, I think you hit all the points. He just needed better direction, and I don't know how he is with the sequels. I have not seen those in a long time.
Me neither. I have not seen them.
Yeah.
I think I gave up after the 5th one because I think it's exactly what you said. It's just I can't get behind something that's not too tangible.
Okay. Is that the one when he goes to hell?
The second one? No.
No, you said the 5th one.
The 5th one? No, that's the Dream Children.
Oh, okay.
The Dream Fighters or whatever. I don't know.
That's 4.
Oh, okay.
That one's 4.
I don't know which one's 5. I seen Wes Craven's New Nightmare, but I don't remember that one too well. That was like a long time ago.
I think the most I can remember from that one is the glove, like, scurrying across, if you can remember that.
No.
Damn? Okay.
No. I remember one where he jumps in a video game.
That one's crazy. I remember that one. I give the 1984 one a 3 also. I think they're right on par. They're just missing something on both sides.
Okay. Oh, very good. A little bit more honest than what I would have expected. So let me just, since we're done here, we basically
tally it all up.
I'm gonna tally it all up. All right. So with the 84, all the points tallied up on your side.
Yeah.
You gave it basically a score of 20 out of 100. Damn it.
It's so unserious with the fucking Jigsaw.
And then for the 2010 version, you gave it a 17.
Okay.
With all the points tallied up. For me, with the 84, I gave it a 18.5.
Okay.
And then the 2010, I gave it a 17. So we both gave the 2010 a 17.
Okay.
And I gave the 84 18.5, and you gave it a 20. Now, I think that goes to show that you just love fantasy a little bit more. I don't know what to say. That one is kind of baffling to me that you gave it honestly a better score. You really did like it. Very good. But with that, give us the official score, Josh.
Ranking
the ranking
out of 10.
1 through 10. 84 first. I want to hear it.
1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously a classic. Again, can't wait. I really want to see the sequels just to see how it all pans out. It does really well for what it is. The times were really pressing on this film. You can tell, obviously, but they did a lot of creative things with limited technology. To me, when it's stacked up to its what's supposed to be its predecessor, I honestly think it does better in almost all aspects. I'd give it. Oh, it was also a good watch. Like you really can't knock this one as a classic. I'd give it 8 out of 10. I think it was really good. You going first, or am I doing 2010?
Let me do my 84.
Okay.
So, it's old.
That's right out the gate. You know it's bad when you say that shit.
It's old. It's dated. Robert Englund's a star in that movie. The rest of the cast is cool. Johnny Depp obviously proved that he is going to be a star one day. Unfortunately, he did not make it to the end of the movie. The kills were iconic, so iconic that the remake had to do it again. But then you have the flaws where it doesn't make sense why he's coming out in the daytime. Why is the mama drunk? Why is the father so irresponsible? Like, your daughter's telling you she's about to die. You're giving zero fucks, my G.
Yeah.
Zero fucks. Like, like
the police.
help. It's like, oh, go back to bed. Like, who the fuck are you to tell me to go get my dad, bro? Like, all that. So there's, and then, you know, obviously the practical effects were really hard to watch, and Freddy Yabba Dabba doing a lot when he could have easily had the kids multiple times, and maybe that was him being playful, but a lot of the times it looked like he just got juked out by a teenager. So, I mean, I gotta give it like a 6. I'll give the movie a 6.
Okay.
It's better than your average movie because of some of the kills and stuff, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's hilarious. That's so funny, dude. I was expecting so much less, and then the 2010 one just crapped itself. That's funny.
Yeah, the 2010 they really took out their
hated that
anger.
shit.
They took out their anger there. They gave the 84 a couple points because of how bad they gave it. The 2010 one. What'd you think of the 2010? What's your ranking for that one?
2010 Nightmare on Elm Street, pretty good. I'll start off by giving it its flowers. It tried to do some interesting things, but it rehashed a lot of what the 1984 one was doing. I feel like if you're doing a remake, you should tell the same story, but change it up a little bit, add some spice. And they tried to do that. They went a little bit more heavy-handed with things. They explained things a little bit more thoroughly. But I feel like because of that, it does hurt itself a little bit, you know, with Chris and things like that, the townspeople, and all that other stuff. I'd give this one 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah.
2010. The 2010 one is also dated, and not because it's old. Well, it is kind of old. I guess it's been like 10 years since it came out. No, 13?
13 years.
Oh, no. I'm morphing.
13 years since a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's crazy that movie put it off so bad. But it's insane because it actually did good in the box office. I think the when I read it, I think the budget was like $65 million, and it wound up breaking in $117.8 million.
I think at that point it just comes to audience.
Critics, yeah, an audience, yeah, they pan that shit the fuck out of it. I've seen some of the comments, like, dude, like I said, not a lot of people could take that pedal stuff in, but with this one, I gotta say, I hate the character switching. I hate the fact that I was invested in this person, and then you're just gonna up and kill them, and then use them as an iconic gag later on. Because like I said, the 84 was so iconic, they had to do it so nice. You had to do it twice.
Yeah.
So I like the plot, and I like the premise. I like that he needs fear to live and to power up, so he's getting that fear one way or another. He's actually getting fear and not doing a bunch of goofy stuff. Now, I get it. Not a lot of people like the pedo stuff. I get it. I don't like it either. I think it's a hard watch. I obviously have my children of my own, so like, you know, even thinking about those things, it's hard to, you know, even put in my head. But I understood the assignment when I was watching this movie, and I know that Freddy is that character, and they, like I said, they didn't say it in the 84. I felt like it was always implied. This one, they were just like, yeah, we're not implying it. We're telling you.
Yeah.
We're letting you know.
This man's kind of fucked up.
I like that there was a personal connection between Freddy and these kids, and there wasn't like oh yeah, you just live on my block. You about to get mowed down.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong house. There was motive behind it. The kills, they're okay. The little bit that we got. The fact that you try to take it into that eeriness, like it was in the 84, but then also try to do like this new jump scare type shit and, you know, kills and everything. It's like, pick a lane. Did you want to be the 84 or did you want to be something new? That was that. I guess that's where it all boils down to. Ultimately, this movie just left me with, by the end of it, I think the ending really checked me out. I was like, you guys fumbled the 84 ending with that doll. You guys are going to refumble it the same way, just updated. It's like, oh yeah, how do we fuck up the ending this time? We can't use a doll. That's too on the nose. CGI. It's like, bro, like there's no way. I'll give this one a 7. Only because of the motive. I think that's the only reason. Nope. I can't even say it with I can't even say it with a serious face. I give it a 6.5.
Okay.
6.5 out of 10.
That's funny.
Barely better, barely tolerable because of the fact that of the plot and everything, but everything else is not the best. I don't really think. I think where my score is, you have, you know, I'm saying it's a 6, right? So I'm saying like maybe 3 or 4 points is the plot and the fear part. I probably give it 1 point because of the fact that they're making Freddy serious, and the last half point, it has to just be because of the attempt. Because even though I don't fuck with those the remake shots, I do like that they did an updated version, if that makes sense. Like it's not like it's something too crazy. I think the first one was the craziest one, where he comes out the wall. That they did it a little bit different. Yeah. But everything else was basically the same. The girl being pulled and then standing there and calling her, and then obviously the kills were basically the same. The hand in the water. It just seemed cool to see it updated. Yeah. So I guess. But the only reason why we got 2 scores is because I kind of wanted to see and test something out when it came down to how we see it when pinned up against each other. Yeah. And how we see it in our own heads, in our own minds, when we decided to, you know, really put those factors in together. So technically you're right on the money, so am I. Basically, I guess both things came out the same way. We're 84 barely clears, but barely, because it's out. I would say it's kind of dated, and then 2010 kind of falls short just because of the obviously the direction and the actors or whatever and stuff. But it is what it is. I know that the Nancy girl, she was almost going to quit acting because of this.
Was she really?
Yeah, she was like, this was the worst thing ever. She wound up pulling herself out of it and came out in a lot more movies, and she has a very blossoming career now. But that she said that this was her first role, and she almost did not want to come back. So that sucks. But there you guys have it. Let us know at the socials that my co-host here will give you guys what you guys think of both Nightmare on Elm Streets, the 84 and the 2010. If you guys watch the whole series, let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you guys want us to rank the series, or you know, check it out. Maybe we'll save it for next Halloween. Maybe we'll give you guys a little bit of a treat if you guys really want it. Catch it live, support us in a big way. Josh, let them know.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FIlmBros Podcast. We post new episodes are up. It gets up there for any news or movies you want us to cover. Listen to us anywhere you get your podcast at FIlmBros Podcast. Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, things like that. Support us in a big way. Buzzsprout, link is in those bios of the socials I just gave you. Supporters get special thanks on episodes and perks just meant for you guys on the side. So we recognize you for helping us out, and you get a little bonus thing not meant for regular people, I guess. Catch a live Twitch at FIlmBros Podcast. We go live every Saturday and throughout the week. Subscribe to our YouTube at FIlmBros Podcast.
Yes. And we're also active on Facebook as well. I know you think that it's for old people, but
that's right, Facebook.
Yeah. We're doing that. Yeah, make sure that you guys go follow that page. We're going to be on that as well for, you know, those podcast listeners that are listening from there. And as well, like I said in the beginning of the episode, we are nearing the end of October. Yeah. But the fun does not stop here. We are going to do more things for November, Thanksgiving, and for the Christmas time and the New Year. So
That's right.
make sure that you guys are following, like all of our stuff, comment on our stuff, interact with us. We want to talk back to you guys, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.